Hey folks, Jonathan here. Decided to come in here and mess around with the engine a little bit. We're not really going to get much work done on this one, but on this video, but I wanted to show you a few things, go over a few things, and show you what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and the way it is. One good thing, I got my bearings in. So you can see they run some pretty good sized massive bearings. And you know, I was guessing at this bearing boss on this side. And that's just an old carriage bolt. I just got it running through. But yeah, it should work out fine. Gives plenty of room around it for strength. So that worked out really good. And everything fits. The only thing that I ran into, and I will show you on my crankshaft. Okay, as you can see, we've got this clutch basket on here. This is the inner clutch basket. Your what happens is your clutch plates go over top of this, but there's also a basket that goes from behind it. This is for the inner side of the clutch, but there's one that goes on the inside of this that comes around to the outside that actually has teeth facing in. Well, it ain't even got the teeth facing in. I think it's got slots in it, and that's, you know, your other ones go into it. And I think it freewheels around, and it's probably freewheels and has a gear on it. And I'm assuming, of course, this bearing's not pressed on. I just got the bearing stuck on here, but let me pull it apart here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay. Okay. What I believe, as you can see this shiny spot here, I think there's another, well, I know there's another basket that goes on first, and that it actually has a piece that the seal rides in, because this is the wet side seal is what you'd call it. Actually goes on here, and it's supposed to ride, I guess, on that piece. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find a clutch basket or not that will fit this, or that will take care of our problem. But what I can do, if I have to, I can make a sleeve that goes on it and stops right there where it's shiny and let it slide. There's a groove in here that I believe a man could put an O-ring in, bring it back against it, and then when we put our outer clutch basket on for our pulley and we put the bolt in it, it'll actually hold it up in place, and we'll sort of, I don't want to squish hard on the O-ring, but we'll bring it up to the O-ring enough to where we know no oil will leak between the bushing we make and this shaft and come out on the splines. So we, you know, that's our fear, is we don't want it to do that. But I think I can make the bushing. I'll make it and probably use this seal, and or I've got other seals. I mean, we can make it whatever size we want, and then we'll go by that. And I was thinking about maybe trying to find another basket on there, maybe one that was broke and I could cut it, but I don't think it's, I mean, I'm going to end up with the same thing. It's going to be a piece that goes on it that spins. I don't know what they use for, if they had any kind of seal in it or what, but we can put an O-ring on there. There's enough of a groove there that, you know, it won't hurt a thing. And as long as we get our measurement right here, that'll keep the oil from coming through it. And then of course the seal will go on, and you know, we'll get our size right on the OD of it. But of course that'll get put on after the bearing. Anyway, so that's where we stand on that. Both bearings come in. They're Prox racing parts, or Pro X racing parts. So that makes this a racing engine, I'm sure. If you got racing bearings, it's got to be a racing engine. They do feel good though, really good. Japan, but I mean, these are Japanese parts. I guess Japan would be better than China, I'm assuming. Okay, where we're at now. I was doing some Jethro Bodine ciphering on the cams. which I had checked these cams before, lift on these cams are 110 thousandths, and that's not what we want. We want more. We need more. I'd love to have about 300 thousandths, you know, sort of minimum, but I don't think we're going to get that. So we are going to go about things a little different. And you know, we're really not talking about that's the lift we need on our cam or on our lobes. That's the lift we need on our valve, how far the valve opens. So what you've got on all engines, well, most all engines, would be a rocker arm. And the rocker arm would make up for the lack of lift on your lobe. The problem is these are 1-to-1 rockers. So if you measure from the center of the fulcrum to the center of here, and the center of the fulcrum to the center of the valve, basically it's the same thing. So you're looking at a 1-to-1 ratio. What we've got to do is move this fulcrum. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this completely off. Our fulcrum, what I'm going to do is build a solid, instead of having two separates, and I think they're angled just a little bit, but instead of having two separates, I'm going to build a solid single fulcrum that goes across, that the bolts go through, or at least the outer bolts go through. And we may up the size on the bolts. They're small. I think we can probably up them to, because there's enough meat there, we can up them to a quarter 20 and make it strong enough where we don't have to have, you know, 4. I actually got 4 on each, but you know, we'll still probably make some carriers and use the bolts back here, or at least one of them, but we're going to try to cut down on what's there. I'm not sure why they had 4 in each, because I don't think it needs it. But anyway, our fulcrum is going to get moved to here. That will make this side longer and this side shorter. And when we do that, that's going to change the ratio of it. And I need to do some measuring from here back and from here forward to see where I want to put everything. And you know, we can bring these out just a little bit, because like I said, this is getting cut off. But we will try to figure exactly what our lift is going to be. You know, like I said, as of right now, 110. You'd push this up 110, and push that down 110. So what we want to do is push this up 110, but make this move 300 if we can get it, but I don't think we're going to get that far. But we'll get as close as we can. It's still going to run. Well, you know, it ain't going to run at 5,000 RPMs, but it's going to run. And you know, I don't see it ever needing to go that fast. And I was shooting for 2,000 RPMs and 300 lift, but I don't think we're going to ever hit 2,000. I mean, I don't plan to anyway. You know, this is just something to build and play with. It's not we're not racing. So anyway, we'll see how it all works out. But I'm probably going to go ahead and pull these off and take a look at them and just see what, you know, see what it's going to take and what we can do to make us some rocker stands with the fulcrum here. So, all right, show you more. Okay, folks, I got the rocker stands and rockers off, and I've got an old set of tractor rockers laying up here. I'm not using these, but I just wanted to give you these as an example. I like the way that they're set up. You can see that they one curves one way and one curves the other way and comes out. And that would actually, believe it or not, where it's at, put us about where we need to be on our cam. That would straighten our rockers out. But the good thing about a rocker like this is a forged rocker. You can actually heat it and bend it if you needed to, you know, to slide this in, to change stuff. There's a lot you can do with it, but these are too big. These are not, you know, not what we're going to use. Okay, rocker ratio. Here's what you do. Okay, because this is not 1-to-1. You know, the distance from here, from your fulcrum to here, and from your fulcrum to here is different. You just do the math on it. It's pretty simple. From the fulcrum to here, which was 1.250, and from the center of the fulcrum to here, which was 2.050. So it was 2 inch 50 thousandths. And so what you do is you divide this end, which is the 1.250, into 2.050, and you actually come out with 1.64. Okay, 1.64 is the rocker ratio. You know, you hear people talking about different rocker ratios, and that's what you figure out. Okay, the way that you figure your lift from there, we've got 110 thousandths lift, so 110 thousandths times 1.64 is 0.1804. So we went from 110 thousandths lift to 180 thousandths lift by changing ratio. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to try to keep this a little shorter than what they are. These valve springs are not really strong, so I'm not too worried about the ratio. This is actually going to, well, we're not using this one, but you understand what I'm saying. This is going to get moved up here, so these is going to be shorter anyway, and then we'll probably shorten these up. And our fulcrum, of course, is going to be a smaller diameter, but you know, that's not really that important because you're just going from the center of it. But that'll give you an idea of what we're trying to do and, you know, what I'm getting at here. And I don't know, I thought about maybe making the rockers out of wood and cast them out of brass. And then again, you know, I really don't want to do them out of billet because, you know, billet parts wasn't something that was used a lot back then. And, you know, I want something that's, you know, looks old. And these would be nice because they got oil holes in them. I think now we're going to try to maybe take a little piece of wood and do a little bit of figuring and just see what we need to do. Or, you know, I can come up with some ratios and on paper and try to figure out where I need to put it and what I need to do to try to get the ratio I want. All right, show you more. Okay, folks, this is a push rod out of a Case DC tractor, as you can see, and there's another one there. 20 inches long, close to it, maybe 18. But anyway, so, and they're solid, so, you know, there's a lot you can do with them. They've got the ball on the end, and they got the male ball on the other end. Anyway, what I done, I laid this across our holes. Now, this will give me an idea of what I need to work with for rocker. I went from there to the center, and I went from here to where I basically want my push rods to run down. And I figured that by setting this cylinder on there, getting an idea of where the lifters was going to come through, and then, you know, sort of judging it from that to try to keep them, you know, I want to keep them straight if I can. And I think since we got to do our rockers, we'll bring them out. That way the push rods will be straight up and down. So if we can get it straight up and down and straight, you know, from in and out, then it'll look good. It'll look like it's supposed to look, or like I want it to look. But with them measurements, and I'll show you the math here. I measured from here to the center, which would be the center of my fulcrum point to the center of the valve. Came up with 1.66, and then I measured from here, the center of the fulcrum point, to about where I wanted my, you know, my push rod to come up, and I come up with 0.670. Now 0.670, let me see, is right there. So you can see it actually puts us back about at the center of where it's at. So I can, you know, I should be able to work with that really good. And I can actually move the fulcrum point out a little bit and make this a little longer if I need to. But, you know, we'll get it right before we go to building anything. But anyway, so that puts our rocker ratio at 2.47, and so that'll put our lift at 0.271, which is 271 thousandths. And well, with the 0.7, you can round it up, 272 thousandths. You know, I was hoping to get 300 or get close to it. That's not bad. I can still do a little work on the cams themselves. I didn't want to do a lot on them because they're so thin here, and of course I didn't want to have to try to weld up the tip end. So I think I can work with that. I mean, that's not too bad. And you know, like I said, I'd love to have gotten 300, but you know, I can do a little changing on it if I need to. And like I said, these springs I can actually push down by hand, so they're not so tight that, you know, I'm really worried about strength wise. And we'll build some nice rocker stands that are good and strong, and we'll probably actually do them out of billet. But I'll rough them up some, and you probably won't be able to see them anyway because, you know, of the way that they're set up. They won't stick out like a sore thumb anyway. And so that's one thing that we've got to get to work on. And now, as for doing the block, you know, I've got my bearings now. I've got a seal that I'm probably going to use. Like I said, I'm probably going to go ahead and, this is a double-sided seal. Probably going to go ahead and use it. If not, you know, like I said, I've got some seals that I can go through and find something. Okay, folks, I had to end that real quick. I had to run out Highway Patrol for a DWI seizure. So, anyway, don't drink and drive. But, it's pretty stupid. But anyway, where was I at? Okay, sleeve, get our bushings on there, our bearings on there, get us a sleeve made for the seal, this seal or another seal. My problem is I've got to order, I hadn't ordered it yet, I've got to order one of these. It's only about 23 bucks. This is 1.5 inches, and I can get one to R8, and then I can still use my boring head. So that'll take care of that. And then I really need to get a coaxial indicator to indicate the holes in, as you know, when I bore, because I don't want to take any chances on getting it off. Now I've got a big vise, a Kurt, that will actually grab this whole thing, and I may use it. I may come up with a different way of mounting it. I want to mount it to where I know it's I'm going to be boring from, let me see, this side. So I want to get the case together. Of course, I got to get the measurements first on the thickness. Go ahead and machine what I need to machine. Get the case the distance apart I want it, bolted together. My dowel pins in it, all the holes drilled, and the bolts put in. And then I want to bore from this side out the other side all together. And if I had enough tooling, I could do it on my horizontal mill, and I could probably do it a little better job setting it up and stuff on it. But we're going to do it on this, and like I said, we'll bore it all in one shot, and then should be able to, if I mount it down to where I'm only mounting the bottom section, and the top is just being held by the bolts and stuff, I can actually bore the top and then remove it, leaving the table and everything where it's at, and then go through and do the bottom without you know, changing anything. And but we'll get it figured out as we go. But I just wanted to show everybody what was going on, you know, all the figuring that's got to be done to try to get, you know, get what you want done. And I went to a little sale today too. Now this was just a tag sale. It wasn't an auction, and I got there about an hour before they quit, and I guess most of the stuff all was gone, but I picked up just a couple odds and ends. Take these off there. Anyway, bought that. You can't have too many squares around. Bought another one. I bought this one because I remember this is what we used at high school shop class, was ones like that for wood. Needs cleaned up. Hit and miss engine handle. Not sure the brand. I could possibly use this as a temporary starter for our engine we're working on. You know, anytime I can get a hand crank, I'll pick it up. Little machinist vise. Cleaned it up a little bit, looking for a name. Don't know, couldn't find any names on it, so I don't know if it's something somebody made or possibly is just a cheap one. But you know, it's nice to have. You know, if you got something small, you can clamp this in your vise, and you know, it's just, I like vices. This is a neat one. And then some Keystone tap and die set, missing some parts, but you know, it was dirt cheap, so it's got some nice holders there, and you know, it's a pretty good size set. And missing a lot of the dies, or a lot of the taps. I guess it's missing some of the dies too. It probably had a row of 4 there, and then it's got a square die in there for something. But But anyway, a lot of times, you know, if you get lucky, you can find a die set that somebody had and they didn't use it much, so, you know, it'll be in decent shape. And this one here, I don't know what brand this one is. Missing the taps. All it has is the dies, but I guess they're all there. So, but needs some major cleaning on it. But you know, anything old and in a box and it was made in America, I don't mind latching on to it. And you know, it can be cleaned up, and we'll check them out real good. I mean, they're not rusty; they're just really dingy, dirty, covered. And you know, old American tools are the tools I like anyway. So anyway, I bought this stuff so cheap I couldn't, you know, I didn't want to pass it up. A buddy of mine bought a lathe there. That's what I actually went over to look at for him. It's old Reed, and it had a taper attachment on it. It looks like it was about a 12-inch, and he gave $150 for it. They was asking $3, but everything toward the end of the sale, they went half price on everything. So everything here was half what it was marked. So it was marked pretty cheap to start with. So you know, come out good. I enjoy stuff like that. Wish I'd have got there early. They had some stuff that was still there, some bigger stuff. They had an old bread truck, early 60s Chevrolet. You know, neat design, still had the bread advertisement on it, but they had already sold it for scrap, unfortunately, and hopefully the guy ain't gonna scrap it. Hopefully they sold it for scrap price, let's put it that way. I mean, or less than scrap price, but hopefully guy's gonna do something with it. I tried to find out a little bit about who got it, but you know, nobody knew. So anyway, I hope it don't go to the junkyard. It was a neat piece. But anyway, I appreciate everybody watching. We'll get back on this engine as as soon as we can. Like I said, I got to get a coaxial indicator in and a piece to an R8 piece for my boring head, and then we'll keep at it, keep to work on it. And I haven't decided on the rockers, so I'm going to try to. I might look around and see what else I've got on some old stuff, old engines, old piles of parts and stuff. And if I don't find anything that suits me, we'll make something. So, all right, bye.